Hey,
Hi,
hi.
TG. It's been a while.
Yep, Ivan. Has been a while. It has been a
Couple months already, I think. Has it?
it's a wild week, alright?
Yeah.
Not wild week, wild month. The geopolitical situation worldwide seems to be getting crazier by the day. I'm not sure you
Yeah,
agree
I
with me or
know.
not. Well, it does have a very big impact on the world, unfortunately, and it is not a positive impact, but a negative impact. It just shows the vulnerability of many countries.
Yep.
South Korea could be facing a severe fuel shortage because they have no fuel on their own. Same goes for Australia, New Zealand, and a lot of other countries.
Yeah, I saw that.
And one of the surprising countries, so-called many people find it surprising, was Thailand. Actually, Thailand is a good place as a tourist destination, but staying there is very subjective
Yep.
to whether you really like it there or not. Funnily, or even I would say that the number of people who are interested in MM2H, as usual, is always steadily growing. For the last couple of weeks, it seems to be very interesting that even the people who have communicated with us 1 or 2 years ago started to come back and say that, we should be looking into this MM2H. But however, one of the sticking point was that I believe people misunderstood. The sticking point is the property purchase.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the things they're either really for it or really against
I'm
it.
not sure whether your uncle is the one who is holding back or maybe thinking about it is the property purchase. Now, let me just put it into a very interesting perspective.
Yeah, sure.
Our company found out, we have a lot of people doing the client acquisition. We found out that many of them actually had a misunderstanding. They put their situation in their home country here. For example, they are paying exorbitant property taxes.
Yep.
They have a lot of rules and regulations, but it's not here.
Mm-hmm.
If they apply whatever happens in Thailand and Indonesia to Malaysia, is also wrong. Because in Thailand, they cannot buy a landed property. They have to buy a condo. In Indonesia, yes, you can buy a landed property, but it's only valid for 50 years.
Okay.
After 50 years, it goes back to the government.
All right.
So it's kind of like, what should I buy? Or, I find it so difficult to maintain the fees and everything. But I think in Malaysia is different. And they should look at property from the perspective and the lens of Malaysia, not from UK or US where they have all these rules and regulations and high costs of owning a property.
Okay.
Yes, we do have quite a lot. Nah, I don't want to buy, of all the taxes and everything they have to put it in. I say, nope, that's not the case. Why don't you just have a look at this property from the perspective of the Malaysian. And secondly, we also find out that there is people who always look at things from the lens of investment. No, I don't want to invest in MM2H. I say, no, you don't invest. You cannot view MM2H as a financial investment. That property is not a financial investment. It's an investment in your well-being, your mental, your physical, your health, and even perhaps your spiritual well-being. You don't view it as a means to make money. No, the property I buy, it's going to lose money. I'm not going to be happy with that. I'm supposed to make money. Now, if you are 60, 70 years old, is that important that you earn that marginal profit from the things that you invest in? I think if you are 50, 60 or 70 years old, you should invest in yourself, your well-being,
That's true.
Life in Malaysia is very different from the rest of the world, even if you compare it with Thailand or Indonesia. There are stresses outside. If you are from a developed country, for example, like UK or even US, you have the bureaucratic stress of the government there. You have the left, right, red and blue political stress. You have the social stress because of the welfare that the government gives out. You have the stress from the taxation, which is very high, stress of high cost of living. And perhaps if you're from New York or even the big cities, the rat race stress.
Yep.
If you stay in Thailand or Indonesia or countries where they don't speak English, you have the stress and the fear of you being cheated because you do not know their language. So these are all the additional stress. But if you come to Malaysia, you will feel that it is very relaxed. And if you come to Penang, it's even better.
It's slower pace compared to Kuala
And
Lumpur.
much lower crime rate, which is very important. Okay. I'm not talking about scams. Scams is everywhere. Okay. So MM2H is for you to stay here and enjoy your life away from all this unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
So why you want to stress yourself over the fact that property purchase, is something that you view as a financial
investment. But I think whenever it comes to investment, people tend to think of it from the financial side of things and tend to neglect, like, they don't think of like your mental health as an investment as well.
Correct.
You're investing in your mental health by having your own space to call home. You have more lifestyle control and freedom as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, one of the misunderstanding that we get is that people think that you need to buy a property first, before you get the visa. No, it's actually not correct. You get the visa, you're given 12 months to buy a property. Yep. And the property you buy can range from 600,000 ringgit, about maybe 200 plus thousand US dollars onwards. Okay. There are plenty of choices. You can stay anywhere in Malaysia. And there's one more thing I just like to share with you. I just read like 3 hours ago. Malaysia is not a surveillance state. I just read and I just confirmed with my friend from India. They even have cameras everywhere in India trying to surveil the citizens. And this is not happening in Malaysia. This is another less stress for you because it's not something that, the big brother is watching or whatever it is. Yeah. So these kind of things you should invest in, especially when you are getting older and older. You have already made your money. You already have successful in life. So we would appreciate that if our clients look at it from a perspective of as investment in their well-being. You see, the property that you buy, you can sell 10 years later. The main reason they want you to hold for 10 years is Malaysia was never a speculative country. If we are a speculative country where speculators are allowed and legally do so, then all our cost of living will be higher. Yeah. When your property price is high, your rental is high, everything follows through. Everything will be very high. And Malaysia is not a place to stay anymore. So by making sure that there's no speculation, we have lots of interesting things to put in. For example, we have the minimum purchase price by state, because land is a state jurisdiction. Okay. So minimum purchase price simply means that foreigners are only allowed to buy properties above a certain threshold of value. This is to prevent foreigners from speculating with the low-end, cheaper houses and condos that are meant for locals. Yep. So we don't have the issue of the locals being very angry that the foreigners come in and drive up the prices of all these properties. Yep. So in Penang, it's about RM1 million if you don't have MM2H visa, $500,000 if you have MM2H visa, which is at the sweet spot that many people, including the local and foreigners, are happy about. Yep. Okay? Because foreigners are not going to stay in a place where it is cheap and then it may not fit their lifestyle. Yep. They would rather stay in a place where that is decent, good, fitting their lifestyle. In Malaysia and in Penang specifically, there are no places where foreigners cannot stay. It's a matter of, do you want to be close to cafes, center of, places of attraction, places of gathering for expats, or would you like to live in a place where mostly local? There's no restriction. It's a personal choice.
But is it true that everyone has the means to buy a property within a time frame of 12 months?
You see, to meet the MM2H requirements, you need to have a property purchase within 12 months. This is where we step in and give you our opinions and advice. Okay. There are many things that you can do. There are many places that you can buy, and we will be there to assist you by giving you the certain advice. And there are options going around on which property you can buy easily and, for whatever means that you want to do. Okay. So the best thing is you have to talk to us is because we have the experience and we can really help you by customizing the advice for you only, because there are no two people are alike.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so we customize according to that for you. Because Malaysia is not a financialized country, our property prices are still, many people say, dirt cheap. because there are no speculators coming in to do that. So it's still very reasonable. And if you view it as what I said earlier, that Malaysia is a very safe place, we have all the resources that we need, we have a very diversified and yet very peaceful and harmonious society. We are welcoming in foreigners because foreigners are not something new to us. We have very good cost of living, we have good quality of health, quality of life, great healthcare and all these things. I think people should view MM2H as an investment in their well-being and not just point it out that, spending money on a property, no, I don't want, We have an open mind.
Yep.
And look at everything and see how it goes.
To play a bit of a devil's advocate, you're moving to Malaysia and then planning to stay in Malaysia. But let's say they have a major life event that happened in their life and for some reason they have to move back to their home country. And maybe they have concerns for an exit strategy or a resale market. What do you have to say about that?
Well, first and foremost, the property that you purchase is not expensive. The minimum purchase price for Penang is 600,000. That's about 230,000 US dollars. Okay, it's not really ridiculously expensive compared to a lot of other countries, even to developing countries like Vietnam or whatever. It is very reasonably priced. If you really have a serious family event or whatever it is that you need to return for good, you cancel the visa, you can sell the property.
Okay.
If you feel that you are going there for a few years and you're going to come back again, and you're above the age of 50, there's no minimum days to stay in Malaysia requirement, then you just keep your visa, you just go. And then in future, you can come back again. Main reason for that is if you cancel the visa, then you reapply again, it could be a new condition.
Okay.
If you maintain your visa, the requirements do not change.
Okay.
It is with you for life.
Okay.
So again, it depends on your financial situation. If you're financially strong, then just leave it as it is. Because you don't know that in future, you might be coming back again. You don't close that path. You don't shut the door behind you. You leave that door open because you are financially strong. A property purchase, had you paid 700K, 800K in Penang for the property, and you are having your best moments of life here, I think that is priceless compared to what you have paid for the property. Having 3 years, 4 years, the best times of your life in Penang, for me personally, is worth much more than the 200 and 300K that you invested. It's the reason why we have today a lot of chaos and situation is because of finance. And it is very different from the lifestyle that we have here. It is not an idyllic lifestyle. We have lots of things to do, lots of events, but it's a completely different pace. It's a completely different kind of lifestyle. And I just met up with somebody from US, and what he said to me was actually very correct. What he knows about Malaysia, especially Penang, and what he knows about back in US is exactly 180 degrees. Be it the taxation, be it the healthcare, be it the social environment, even be it the diversity, DEI. Is exactly opposite of what is happening. And he was, of course, very pleasantly surprised. And when we have coffee in the hotel, I was about to pay for the coffee, and the waiter came about and said, "It's free for guests." He was like, "What?" So again, another pleasant surprise. So moving forward from this one here, hopefully people will understand that, MM2H is more for their well-being, and property purchase is just a part of it. Do you have any questions or anything that you want to share with me?
Not so much a question, but I do agree. If you're really looking to retire at a place and you're an expat, I think Penang is a really good place to settle down because it's really, as you say, stress-free, really relaxed, and very perfect for any retirees looking to.
Okay, I want to make a correction. MM2H is not about retirees. We have people who are family-based, and they find that raising a family in their home country in the West is not ideal anymore. They happen to work online. They happen to be the sales director for Asia. And they pick Penang for their children's education and raising children in a very conservative and so-called normal way of living. So it's not just for retirement. because MM2H is to make it your second home. But I think right now what they're pushing is MM2H as your primary residence. So not only retirees, we do have people who are still working online, have their own business. They run the business from here.
Okay.
They appoint a manager back there to do the work. They just pass the instruction to them, get it done, manage it online.
They have in a fortunate position where they can work anywhere they want.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other one here is even doctors are coming to that because in Western countries, it is very popular to have telemedicine.
Telemedicine? What?
Yes.
What's that?
Telemedicine means that you do the consultation
Okay.
online.
All right.
Whether it is medicine, whether it is psychiatric, or whether it is psychology, they are doing it online. So yes, there are people doing that. So far, the only thing that I can see that is difficult for the people to come over and stay here is those jobs that require you to be physically present. And one of them is, of course, a few of them is like surgeons, dentists, and anything that needs physical work that you need to manage it. But otherwise, many of them could have come here on and stay here, especially business owners.
Okay.
Can be as near as Singapore. They can fly over there and manage the business like 1 or 2 times a week, fly into Singapore. Or even as far as Canada, where I have game developers developing software and animation for the games.
Okay.
They do everything here.
Okay.
And they just submit online or whatever it is. Oh yes, there's another thing that is very interesting. We have a few clients. When we say the word, have you heard about the word called normalcy bias?
I don't think I have.
Normalcy bias. You can actually check out online. It just simply means that bad things will not happen to me until it is too late. People will say that, nothing is bad to happen to me. We don't know. I don't know. But there are some people who take action earlier. So normalcy bias is a way to preserve your life, to preserve everything. But it is also very destructive if you ignore that. So yes, we do have people coming in now. It's because they felt that it is the right time. So yes, I just want to bring it up to people to be aware that, normalcy bias is not something to be taken lightly. And Malaysia is providing you with a great place to stay. And the cost of getting the MM2H visa, actually some of our clients say, if you compare it with other countries, with all the pros and cons and, for example, like language in other countries, and you're being afraid of being ripped off because of the language issues, or how crowded the new place is, or whatever it is, or the taxation, whatever it is. If you put everything in and holistically, the silver category of 150,000 US dollars deposit and a property purchase is actually not expensive because this money in the bank is still your money. You don't pay to the government. The house is still yours under your name. If you buy at the right place, at least the price will stay constant.
Yep.
At best, it will grow a little bit higher.
Yeah.
It won't grow a lot higher because that's how it is in Malaysia. If it has grown a lot higher, our inflation will be very high.
Yep.
Cost of living will be very high.
That's true.
So you cannot have the best of both worlds. That's what they say. Have your cake and eat it as well. We had a very interesting talk with the client. He said that he will apply when things normalize. When the US dollar is back to normal. Then I just said to him, what do you think of the chances of it normalize very soon?
Yeah.
Number one, what are the chances? The US dollars, Aussie dollars have dropped so much, some as much as 20%. The drop is so fast. What are the things positive in your country, in this case US, that can make it go back up to the level? He couldn't answer me.
Yeah.
So this is again something like the normalcy bias. When you sit down and think hard about it, you should come to a conclusion for your own self. What is the best route forward?
Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to ask was when it comes to property purchase, I'm not sure about different countries that have different rules and different criteria and different requirements, but what does Malaysia do to maybe protect the vendor and the purchase when it comes to property purchase?
You have a very good question.
Yeah.
Now, I might be wrong, But this is what being told by us, by our clients.
Yep.
Property purchase in the Mediterranean countries, perhaps it's Spain or perhaps it's Portugal or whatever it is, it's kind of tricky. One of the reasons is that the contracts are not in English. Now, Malaysia used to be a colony of Britain.
Yep.
Although the laws might have changed, but the base system is still British. Contracts are in English. We cannot double sell. The solicitor, we can provide you good solicitors,
Yep.
will work on your behalf to protect your interest. Okay, so everything will be done legally. You own the property. People will sometimes, cheated, scammed, or stung by property purchase in other foreign countries.
Yep.
And they felt that Malaysia is the same because Malaysia is like a developing country.
Okay.
So I want to put this on record that the property purchase in Malaysia is not only straightforward, it is in English and you have all the legal protection. When you own the property, you own the property outright. It is under your name, be it a condo or be it a property with land. You can put it into a will and will it to your next generation. I cannot say about the future, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. But as of today, there are no inheritance taxes in Malaysia.
Okay.
As long as you have a will, your assets are easily transferred to whoever that you state in the will.
Okay.
So we follow the norms of the world, but we do not have, a government that tries to steal, a government that tries to scam, or people outside trying to take advantage of you. Yes, it is a generally known fact that Malaysian people are very friendly to foreigners.
Okay.
It's not because we want to cheat or steal or scam them, but that is who we are all this while. And that is also a few reasons why, like Intel, Motorola, all these big firms, they invested in Penang in the 1970s. We are very different, We don't treat foreigners like an ATM machine.
Yep.
We treat them like friends. And you need to be here to experience it yourself. There are many people who actually applied without even coming to Malaysia based on what they read. We tell them it's best for you to come over and see. But they tell us that they will only come over when they get the approval.
Yeah.
We have many cases like this over the last 20 years of our business. And they're still in Malaysia. Okay? Very interesting, but very positive for the country.
That's good to
It's
hear.
a win-win.
Yep.